The Hendrick dominance of Martinsville continues for the 5th time. In the last 6 races, Jimmie Johnson wins on this Virginia short track. And if anyone was wondering, is something wrong with the 48? Well, they answered that question today in a big way on the 25th anniversary of Rick Hendrick's first win at this track. Jimmie Johnson makes it 5 of the last 6 at Martinsville, and those are some very impressive numbers. Hello, everybody. I'm John Roberts, alongside with Jimmy Spencer, Kenny Wallace, and we're in the middle of it all here at the Martinsville Speedway. We got a new desk for this afternoon, and we're fired up because this is going to be a fun victory lane.
Yeah, but you know, most of all, this beats them chairs. Oh, I lost my papers. Don't you think this beats those old chairs we used to sit in?
Well, what about Jimmie Johnson?
Who won?
Let me tell you something, race fans. I have not seen the Jimmie Johnson race team celebrate like this ever in the history of their wins. I don't know what it was all about, Jimmy Spencer, but it was total chaos. I think it was the way he won the race. He finally used the right front bumper to win the race. He saved it. It was an incredible win.
Well, the thing is, Kenny, think about this. He doesn't get in the top 10 till like lap 230 or 240. And as the race progresses, he doesn't take the lead, fans. Doesn't get in the lead till lap 360. Very uncharacteristic. Team was pretty doggone excited, Kenny. You're right. And I think they realized, you know, they were down. They've not been a factor all year long. Well, coming into Martinsville, you know, a lot of fingers were being pointed. But you know what? Denny Hamlin and him put on a heck of a race. One of the best races I've seen at Martinsville in a long time. He nudges the 11 car, goes on. Great job by Jimmie Johnson and that team.
Well, let's take a quick look at the highlights. We'll get much more in depth later on Victory Lane, but here's a quick look at what transpired here in the 6th race of the season, as we have Jeff Gordon leading us to the green flag because we started by virtue of owner points, and that put Jeff Gordon in the catbird seat. This is a place he had won this race from twice before. In 2003, he won from the pole position. It looked like this could be Jeff Gordon's day. But then, after Jeff Gordon dominated the early part of the race, here comes the number 11 of Denny Hamlin, and also battling the number 48 of Jimmie Johnson. This was late in the race, and these two would be the dominant factors in this race. It was lap number 484 with 15 laps to go that Jimmie Johnson took the lead away from Denny Hamlin, and he takes the checkered flag to continue the dominance of Hendrick Motorsports. They have now won 10 of the last 13 races, and with Denny Hamlin up there, the only team that threatened to spoil the Hendrick party here at Martinsville is that Joe Gibbs Racing group. And as Trace Atkins, country western singer, congratulates Jimmie Johnson, gets a hug from wife Chandra, and Jimmy is extremely happy right now. As we notice, we usually don't see that much emotion from this number 48 team because, let's face it, they've been to victory lane 40 times before today. This is the 41st victory for this team, so they've been here before, but they know what it's all about.
Yeah, the big thing here is that a lot of tragedies happen to a lot of teams. I shouldn't say tragedy. It did happen to the Hendricks team, which has a lot of teams. And, you know, Jimmie Johnson won that day. It was very tragic a few years ago what happened. But, you know, that team, Mr. Hendrick is here on his 25th anniversary. I have to admire him. I was talking to him when the race is going on. And, you know, it's amazing. You know, this is the track he got Richard Petty's autograph. You know, the thing about Rick Hendrick, it doesn't matter who he puts in his cars to have success. This combination, this 48, Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus, you know, two workaholics, two guys that don't know what it is to lose, don't know what it is to give up. And that's what they did today, guys. And, you know, Kenny, that car control we were talking about, that was absolutely phenomenal with him and Denny.
There's so many things to say. First of all, Jeff Bodine is here in the hat. You see him wearing the funny kind of hat there on our B-roll just now. But what I would like to say is something very important. Jimmie Johnson does not have to shave his beard.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, I got to thinking, hey, maybe this little scruffy look, you know, is not going to work for him. He wins the race today, so hey, it's okay. All is forgiven. He doesn't have to shave now.
And better than not shaving, Jimmie Johnson now moves up to 4th in Cup points as he tries for a 4th championship in a row. When we come back, we'll talk to all the players in this one. And by the way, all 4 Hendrick Motorsports cars finished in the top 10 today at Martinsville. Woo!
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge, Recreate, Hibernate. Brought to you in part by Victory, the new American motorcycle, and by Ask.com. Get the answers to and all your racing questions at Ask.com.
The sixth race of the 2009 season was the second short track race in a row, and Jimmie Johnson once again at Martinsville was not the dominant car. Denny Hamlin led the most laps, but Jimmie Johnson led the lap that counted, and that was the final lap of this 500 lapper today at Martinsville. Let's take a look at the first 200 laps, see what transpired. And as we mentioned moments ago, by virtue of a rained out qualifying session and owner points, Jeff Gordon led the Hendrick Motorsports Brigade to the green flag with the pole position.
At this point, the track is brand new. It has rained for 3 days. There's no rubber on the track. Jeff Gordon says, I am the man. I am going to win this year. And look at this. It's total chaos. Almost 3 wide going into the second corner of the first lap. Look at this.
And you know, the big thing here, Kenny, is that you think these guys would be a little bit more patient, but they're saying, you know what? They know track position is critical here at Martinsville.
First caution of the day came out, and it was one of a bunch of cautions, let's put it that way, as Mikey Waltrip gets a little bit of a nudge, takes a spin, and puts just a little bit of damage on the back of that number 55. Let's take another look.
You know, this is typical Martinsville. I told Joey Logano, be careful getting in the corners.
He did it, yeah.
And it happened right in front of Joey Logano. Now, what's incredible is Michael Waltrip comes back to finish 13th in today's race.
What you call rootin' and gouging going on between David Rudiman and Kyle Busch in the number 18 car. You know, Kyle Busch is coming off a win, but he's got smoke coming off his car.
Well, that was just brake dust and stuff, Johnny. But, you know, the outside groove never come in. And Kyle's trying to establish this here. But for some reason, this outside groove, we heard Hermie say it earlier in the show, the guys are worried about that outside groove. It never really came in.
And here we go again. I've been telling everybody, too much rear brake. Too much rear brake. You go in the corner, lots of braking. The team is trying to distribute the brake like a road course car, locks the rears up, gets into the 82, and really ruins Scott Speed's day, because now he's probably, well, he stays outside the top 35 in the points. This was a big loss for Scott Speed.
And you know, Kyle Busch, as good as he is, as fast as he is everywhere, he doesn't seem to have Martinsville just underneath his finger grip.
Black flag is out at the time, and that was for the number 18 car, 17 car, I'm sorry. It was Matt Kenseth that got the black flag. And here's why. They let loose of a tire. They lost control of the tire.
And the problem is, if the tire, look, it goes outside that white line. If your tire goes outside of your pit box, that is the problem. By 2 foot, the tire went outside the white line.
Now, this is a very crowded pit road.
Yeah, this is big here at Martinsville. You know, these guys started pretty far back, and the key here is be patient, even though you're going to lose a spot or two. Don't knock your front fenders in. Those guys did a great job on that exchange there.
Here comes Denny Hamlin, the defending champion of this race, going by 4-time champion Jeff Gordon. He completes the pass, and that's when Denny Hamlin went out and started leading a ton of laps.
And Jimmy Spencer, at this point in the race, he looked unbeatable. The number 11 of Denny Hamlin looked like he was going to be the man to beat.
Yeah, but is the 24 like saying, I need to be a little bit patient here? And, you know, here comes Tony Stewart. Now, hey, this is another Hendricks associate team with Darian Grubb. Great job. Tony moves into second here past Jeff Gordon. But is Jeff Gordon losing the handle? We'll see a little later on.
Are we seeing the real Tony Stewart now? Because now he doesn't have to worry about making it into races anymore. Now he can go out there and race because he's in the top 35 in points. Now we're going to see some tire issues coming out here. We saw 15 melted beads on tires and 5 melted beads for the 8 car in and of itself. So Goodyear reports that it was a melted bead problem that was cutting down these tires, not cutting down the tires, but melting down the tires.
And I got to say, Jimmy Spencer, I think the tire was soft on the right side. Not the tire's fault, but the speeds were way up. They were running 22nd flat speeds at the end of this race.
But the thing is, Kenny, I know we had some tire issues here, but I'm going to tell you something, fans. It was not problems of Goodyear, because the top 10, 15 cars did not have this issue. This issue was because these cars weren't handling. These cars were in the back of the pack. Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, all these guys, Jimmie Johnson, no tire problems. So no. Goodyear did a great job.
And all I want to say is that they built a great tire. The right side of the tire was softer. Therefore, you can go in the corner harder.
More grip.
And more grip. So these guys, cars that weren't handling good, they attacked the corner with the brakes. The brake heat created the tires to melt.
But we still have 300 more laps to go through in this race here at Martinsville that Jimmie Johnson came out victorious in once again. We're going to take a quick break here on NASCAR Victory Lane, take you to the checkered flag, and we're going to get this group over here to talk to us about a very big win early in the season for Hendrick Motorsports. On Monday's This Week in NASCAR show, Steve Burns, Michael Waltrip, and Chad Knaus will break down all the action from Martinsville, which will include the popular radioactive scanner feature. Hear the most important and dramatic radio conversations from Sunday's race, This Week in NASCAR, Mondays at 8 Eastern, only on Speed. If Jimmie Johnson looks a little tired, he should be. He worked his rear end off today to get this victory for Hendrick Motorsports. On the right side of your screen, that is Jeff Bodine. He is the driver that 25 years ago gave Rick Hendrick his first victory at this racetrack. It could have been the end of that team, that race, but instead it was a very brilliant beginning. Let's take you back to the racing action as we still have 300 more laps to go on this track. And so often in NASCAR's Sprint Cup Series, the car who leads the most laps does not go on to win the race. In this case, it was Denny Hamlin who led a ton of laps, but not the most important one.
And you know what? When Denny Hamlin takes the lead and starts to dominate, look at the sunny skies. The sun was out. He was dominating. Looked like Jeff Gordon was going to run second. There you see Junior, coming to third because he started working out this week.
The big thing here, too, is clean air, Kenny. Clean air is very important on this short track, but you know what? This is what I said earlier on the show. You have a problem here under green flag conditions. Carl Edwards loses 2 laps in that exchange with a left rear flat.
You know, one thing I like about these cars, Jeff Gordon just, bam, hit him right in the rear. But these cars, once again, the bumpers line up so good. Here's more battling. Clint Boyer establishes himself as a top 5 in the points at the start of this year.
So Clint Boyer in the 33 came in third in points, and he was battling in the top 5 for most of this day. But Clint didn't have enough. It didn't seem like for Denny Hamlin. It really didn't seem like anybody did, except maybe for Jeff Gordon. Now we see more battling for the lead up front here between 2 of the best in the short track business.
And all day long we saw that. We saw this, seen this. What would the right word be, Johnny?
What's that?
Saw or seen?
You saw.
I saw. But all day long we saw the 11 and the 24 just battling. And these guys raced each other clean. Kenny, I was impressed at how hard these guys raced.
And at this point in the race, I'm thinking I have never seen this great a race. And
look at
fans,
this.
1, 2, 3. That is the top 3, and Jimmie Johnson is right behind him.
Right there.
I'm getting excited right now just watching. This was a great, great battle.
And as Jimmy Spencer always says, if anybody thinks these guys aren't out there racing their rear ends off, just watch this race. There's not much real estate on a half-mile track, but yet we have the leaders beating and banging on every corner and trying to not give up an inch.
That is as exciting as I've ever seen at Martinsville.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. and A.J. Allmendinger both made it up from the back of the pack, had great runs.
Well, I got to tell you something. That 44 car, that is the new superstar on our series, and I'm not over-exaggerating.
No.
A.J. Allmendinger, a good 9th, 10th place finish today. We'll look at the rundown later. Spencer, he was 16th in the points. I got to think he's up there more now.
And Ken, I was impressed with him because he was running out of brakes. And he relaxes, he calms down, he runs one stint there, what they call a run, and he saves his brakes. And he comes back with a top 10 finish.
More racing, more leading for Denny Hamlin. Looked like no one had anything for him.
And every restart, guys, the 11 car would just pull out to a big, big jump.
And I want everybody to notice something. Look, it's getting cloudy. The sun's not out anymore. That means the 48 is going to be on the prowl, and those highlights will be coming up here in a little bit.
This may be a short track, but it's a very long race when you go 500 laps around the big paperclip at Martinsville. We're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, we'll take you through the final 100 laps of the 500 here today, and you don't want to miss the last couple. And there they go, wasting a lot of good champagne once again.
Smell it.
That always upsets Spencer. All right. Tears in his eyes, I guess. Welcome back, everybody, to Martinsville Speedway, and we have Jimmie Johnson's team celebrating after a huge win for this team on a very small track here in Virginia. Now, with 100 laps to go in this race, Denny Hamlin had already locked up the honor of leading the most laps, but there was still a lot of racing to go. Let's head back to the highlights and pick it up where we see Denny Hamlin with an absolutely huge lead over Jeff Gordon.
But right away, look, you see Jimmie Johnson passing, I believe it was Michael Waltrip coming in to third spot. Spence, the sun is out, or it's gone now. The sun is gone. I think that's the reason Jimmie Johnson started coming.
And I also noticed, Kenny, that evidently the adjustments, whatever they did to the car, it would run better after 20 or 30 laps on the tires. It seemed like on older tires, he was as good as there was.
And you know who you credit that to? One of the smartest guys in the business, Chad Knaus. Here we got some beating and bagging going on. This is a battle for the top 10 as we see Brian Vickers and Ryan Newman. Newman needed a good run.
Well, I think Tony Stewart hired Ryan Newman to be an aggressive driver. Ryan had a tough start to the year. Now he's back-to-back top 10s, top 10 at Bristol, top 10 here.
Two teammates, two of the best at this racetrack, doing battle side by side as Jimmie Johnson makes it look easy getting by the 24, but we know it's not easy.
No, and the 24 car at this point, again, he's starting to lose the handle on his car because the 11 car gets away from him. Here the 48 passes him. Now here comes the 33. We haven't talked a whole lot about Clint. Top 5 all day long. He had bad pit stop, was about 12th, got his car back to the top 5. Here he is passing Jeff Gordon for 3rd.
And Clint Boyer did spend a great deal of time in the top 5. This is a battle for the 3rd place as we see the number 24 and Clint Boyer going door to door. And here's a restart.
Look at this power move, Kenny. Absolutely. I've never seen that done at Mark. I haven't seen that in years. I tell you, that was a power move, Kenny, on a restart to do that.
And this is with 30 laps to go. We're thinking, oh my Lord, the 11 is going to power move past the 48 and win the race. But look, here we go. More cautions. The 12.
Now, the 12 is wrong here, guys, and I'm going to tell you why the 12 is wrong. He's a lap car, 0-0's in the top 10. Now look at him. He's still pushing and pounding on Ruderman. Give a little bit of respect. When you're on a lead lap, respect the lap car. If you don't, you're going to get it to pay back eventually down the road.
This is for the lead and eventually for the win as we see Jimmie Johnson and Denny Hamlin both with a handful, and Tony Stewart is licking his chops.
I think Jimmie Johnson thought he was making speed. I think it was not. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. This is incredible. They're sideways.
That's impressive. That was a very aggressive move, Kenny. There's no question.
But I'm going to tell you what. He made the move knowing that he had the talent to save the car.
And look at he drove away, John.
So here comes Jimmie Johnson around to take the checkered flag. His numbers here at Martinsville are absolutely tremendous. 6 victories, 5 of the last 6 races here, and the Hendrick domination continues, and Jimmie Johnson is back as defending series champion in the winners column for this year. Another 2nd place, 2 in a row for Denny Hamlin, and Tony Stewart gets his best finish as a driver-owner.
The big deal here, I believe, is Clint Boyer has established himself. We are a top 10 team. We are a team that can contend every week with a top 5 finish. And the other guy, Kenny, needed a good run. Dale Earnhardt, but A.J. Allmendinger.
Hey, the story here is A.J. Allmendinger. Race fans, look, we're used to Jimmie Johnson and these guys being up front. Can you believe what Red Bull is thinking right now? They let A.J. Allmendinger go. What a mistake.
Yeah, and here we see Harvick and these guys not having the day they wanted. I'm going to give Michael Waltrip credit. He spins out early in the race. He never gives up. He keeps battling. That's what he needs to do. He needs to get himself focused. He did it today. Comes home with a top 50.
Hey, where is Roush Racing? I'm looking for him. Matt Kenseth, 23rd was the top finish in Roush car today.
Carl Edwards, David Reagan, and Greg Biffle all back in the high 20s. Martin Truex Jr. and Scott Riggs came home in the 30th spot. Let's take a look at the back of the field as some of the guys had some trouble along the way today. Elliott Sadler, Joey Logano, 31 and 32.
We're starting to see flat tires here. Elliott Sadler with a flat tire lost 2 laps. Joey Logano lost 3 laps with a flat tire. We're starting to see the effects. Green flag pit stops really killed him today.
And when I look here, I look at the last 3 place finishers. These are I'm not saying for sure, but these are start and park cars, no problems. I want to see the points. Where are they?
Here come your points. The top 10 is now owner points after the 6th race of the season as we see some movers and shakers coming on right now. Jimmie Johnson was the big winner as he moved up to the 4th spot in owner points with the win, and Jeff Gordon still leaves here with the points lead.
Well, I can tell you what, the top 35 in the points are going to be unbelievable. We've seen Paul Menard, who had a good 25th place finish. Where is he going to be? We'll see that at the end of the show.
All right, so we still have to get Jimmie Johnson over here to talk to us in just a moment, but right now we're going to check out the Valvoline protecting the win moment of the race. And you know what? Anytime this team has a chance to win, this pit crew protects the win and keeps them out front. A brilliant final pit stop for the number 48 team. High fives all around. We'll be back to Victory Lane in a moment. Welcome back, everybody, to NASCAR Victory Lane from Martinsville. If you've been asking for racing, here it is. Jimmie Johnson and Denny Hamlin, door-to-door, beating and banging on the short track the way it should be. And Jimmie Johnson, what an awesome display of driving. That was so much fun to watch, and I'm sure after you took the lead, it was fun to do.
It was. After our contact down there, I was nervous what was going to happen down in turn 1 when we got there. And thankfully, nothing happened. I think it was just really hard short track racing between me and the 11. And he really had a dominant car. Once I finally got back to the front, I couldn't catch him, and I didn't think we really had anything for him. But those last 2 stops, we got our tire pressures worked out, and I was very competitive and had a chance to go get it.
Jimmy, this win seemed to be a little different than I was used to. When your crew came to Victory Lane, it was chaos like I've never seen before. Is it because of this being the 25th year, of Rick's first win? What was going on? I've never seen so much excitement.
Yeah, I mean, our guys have. We love where we work, and we love to work for Mr. Hendrick, and I think we all, on the back of our minds, had a lot on this race and really wanted to win, win here for his 25th anniversary. So, that played into it, and I think, even if like our fortune, we've been able to win some races over the years, we still love pulling into Victory Lane and celebrating. There's some new guys there on the team with us that haven't had a chance to come to Victory Lane yet, so, we're having some fun.
And one last thing, you don't have to shave your beard because you've won.
No, beards can win.
What was that?
Beards can win. My grandmother was begging me to shave it, I will shave it here at some point. But I had to prove to myself and everyone else that this is not the reason why we haven't been to Victory Lane.
I'm a big fan of aggressiveness and just good racing. I saw some great racing today, but I was impressed. Your pit crew pops you out front, but yet Denny puts a move on I haven't seen in years. What were you thinking there when he made that move on the inside, going into one, gets on by you?
I thought I got a great restart. I got through the gearbox well. I didn't spin the tires, and I hear Earl tell me inside, and I thought, you got to be kidding me. There's no way he's inside. And sure enough, he just got an awesome restart and got in there. So, the next, I'd say, 15, 20 laps, it took me a long time to relax and gain my composure again, because I felt like I threw away a great opportunity here, and luckily I didn't.
And Jimmy, I want to say, what are you thinking here? You guys put on a lot of side-by-side racing today.
It's really nice when you know who you're racing with and you know how hard you can lean on one another. Denny certainly came in there and washed up in the center and ran me up, and that stuff's all cool and fine. You guys know that from racing. But when somebody comes in and just knocks the door off the car and runs you up into the marbles, that stuff gets under your skin. But we can still get out there and race hard, touch and bump and bang with one another, but do it in a way that is respectful and you can still race.
The big thing about you guys, test. Now no testing. Is that going to be good over the long haul for all the teams? Or is that going to be maybe not as good? Like we see Logano not running as well. Some of these younger drivers not running as well as they should.
It's tough if you're off and if you're a new team. And I feel for Logano and that whole team and what they're dealing with, trying to get experience in the top level of our sport right now, because you can't test. And we all know how important it is to get seat time and track time. So if you're on top and things are going well, you love the fact that you're not testing because you can hang on to your advantage. If you're off or you need seat time, it's a bad thing. I still think we need to open it up and allow the teams to go to the track. My opinion still is that the top teams go to the track less than the guys that are further down, so that the guys at the bottom have a chance to get their stuff better.
Jimmy, it seemed like the motto of the day was Jeff Bodine. You guys made such a big deal out of him. You had him here. He was here at the start of the race. He was in Victory Lane. How did this work out? Was this discussed earlier? Hey, bring Jeff up, and we're going to win the race, and he's going to go to Victory Lane with us.
I think Mr. Hendrick hoped for that, and I know that he wanted to come up and share the moment with Jeff, and it was so important to Hendrick Motorsports that he was here. And what they did 25 years ago. On top of the fact he wears a cool hat, and I think it gets everybody paying attention to him.
Yeah, it's because he's bald.
Jimmy,
that's cool.
Jimmy, I guess, 11, 12 times now, the last 12, 13 races, you guys have won like 10 races. What makes the Hendrick team that strong here?
He's good.
Oh, yeah,
you are.
I know that.
You're really good.
It took me a while to figure it out. I think our equipment's always been there. And for whatever reason, teams have strengths at certain tracks, and this is one that we're strong at. And it took me a few years to figure out how to drive here. And thankfully, it's worked. I don't know what makes certain teams good at certain tracks, but we see it all the time. And I'm thankful that history repeated itself here again today for us.
Jimmy, congratulations. Great job. But before you go, we want you to share with us these numbers on your career here at Martinsville. They're absolutely stellar when you look at the numbers. 15 races, 6 wins. That's better than 30%, by the way. Top 10s, 14, and laps led 1,300. This is definitely a track you must look forward to come to.
Unbelievable. The first time I pulled in here, I think we tested twice the first year. The first time, and then he came and ran in the race. There is no way I thought that those stats would look like that after that day. I heard a phrase where somebody wanted to fill this thing up full of water and have a fishing tournament.
How petty.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, they need to hurry up and do that.
Yeah, but don't do it yet, because you still got a few more wins in you.
Everything's cool.
Jimmy, congratulations. Thanks for the time. Go celebrate this one with your team.
You got it.
Good job by Jimmy Johnson. And right now we want to remind you that Ask.com is the official search engine of NASCAR. And here's a question for you. Who was the last driver to win the spring Martinsville race from the pole? If you want the answer now, go to Ask.com, where NASCAR fans go to get answers. Ask.com, the official search engine of NASCAR. Welcome back, everybody, to the big paperclip at Martinsville. It's quiet right now, but the action on the racetrack was very loud just a few moments ago as Jimmy Johnson was able to overtake Denny Hamlin late in the race to get yet another victory from this racetrack. So that means for the second time in 2 weeks on the short track, Denny Hamlin came in second. Disappointing, but nonetheless a great finish for the number 11. Let's go to Bob Dillner.
Denny Hamlin, leader for most of this race. Last few laps there. Just tell me about that move. What'd you think?
It was aggressive, but it's nothing no one else would have done, or myself. It was just a great short track move, and you know, that late charge into the corner that he made, you know, I had already committed to the bottom. There's nothing I could do. You know, it's not like he was really there all the way down the straightaway. So it was just a tough move. You know, it's one that you kind of expect at the end of these races, and you know, unfortunately, when you find yourself the leader with a few laps to go, you're very vulnerable when you don't have at least a one-car length lead.
You're very calm, cool, and collected. You know, I'm kind of surprised because you put yourself into those shoes and you say, I wonder what's going to happen. I know Mike Ford came on the radio and said, Denny, after the checker flag, I know you're mad, but keep calm. Were you mad?
Nah, I wasn't mad at all. It's just, you know, our FedEx team did a great job of preparing a car. Usually we're a little bit off from those Hendrick guys, but today I felt like we had the superior car and it just didn't work out. You know, we were kind of vulnerable. We put ourselves out there, and unfortunately, you know, the 48 beat us right there on the last pit stop, and I thought it was over there. But, you know, we were able to get them back on that restart, and I felt like had we had a long run, we could pull away from them, and we were able to close back in at the end. But, you know, their short runs, this 11 car just doesn't seem to take off like those guys do. And you know, our FedEx team is excited about what it's got. You know, usually this is the strongest we've ever been here at this racetrack. So when we know we come back for the chase, we should be good.
Denny Hamlin looking pretty good. His second straight top 2 finish.
All of us are guilty of trying to break down and analyze people. And I got to tell you, what a great interview, because, you know, a year ago he would have been upset. Oh, darn it, you know, I didn't win the race and I should have. But listen, congratulations to Denny Hamlin, and here's why. He gets booted out of the way at the end of the race, but he doesn't have enough speed to get back and boot Jimmy Johnson out of the way. Plus, the #1 car at Gibbs Racing, he outruns Kyle Busch, Joey Logano. So, I mean, a lot to be proud of.
All right, definitely a lot to be proud of for Denny Hamlin, because 2 second-place finishes in a row will definitely help you when it comes to owner points. Now, we still got a lot to come on this edition of Victory Lane, but we want to remind you that Friday on Speed, NASCAR races into Texas. Our coverage begins with NASCAR Sprint Cup Series practice at 1 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget the ultimate Friday night party, NASCAR Trackside at 7 Eastern. NASCAR on Speed, be there, presented by Advance Auto Parts. You know, sometimes it's kind of difficult for us to decide what the Kingsford move of the race is today. It was not difficult. This was clearly the move of the race as we take another look at Jimmy Johnson getting by Denny Hamlin for a huge short track win.
There's no question that is what I love about racing at Martinsville, aggressiveness. The guy come out on top, give him credit.
All right, the guy who leads the most laps doesn't often win these races, and that was Denny Hamlin leading the most laps today, but Jimmy Johnson with the victory. Now, as an owner driver, Tony Stewart scored his best finish ever in this 6th race of the season. That vaults him up into the top 10 in points. Let's go back to Bob Dillner to talk to the smoke.
Tony Stewart almost in the catbird seat there at the end of that race. A good battle in front of you. I know you're a big racing fan. What'd you see out your windshield?
A window of opportunity that just wasn't quite large enough for us to get through. But no, I was really proud of Darian and all the guys on the Old Spice Office Depot team, and proud of our finish. I mean, for a young team, for us to have a 3rd and a 6th, that's a pretty awesome day for us. So we're really proud of all these guys. And just I saw him go underneath him, and I knew Denny wasn't going to just give it to him like that. So when I saw him skating up the racetrack, I just couldn't get there quick enough. It was just running out of time to get there, but just was proud that I had the opportunity to be there and be close at the end. I mean, we had a good car all day. We never quite had enough to be as good as the 11 and the 24, and obviously the 48 there at the end were really good too. So we were just a little bit off, but I'm really proud of our guys. I mean, for our first trip working with this group of guys and a new crew chief, I'm pretty proud of our results today.
I want to ask you because, watching your progress throughout this first part of the year, you're in that top 35, all that sort of thing, but your enthusiasm really keeps on growing with this team, and I think it showed here this weekend, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, I'm relaxed, and I don't know why. It doesn't make sense, but, I miss Joe Gibbs Racing every week when I show up at the racetrack. I miss working with Zippy. I miss working with those guys, but I'm really proud to have been a part of watching this team grow and watching great people, Bobby Hutchins and Darian Grubb, Tony Gibson, Ryan Newman, and all the guys that have come into this organization. It's been so much fun to watch it progress and grow, and that's something that I got a chance to do firsthand when I built my first Outlaw team and our USAC teams, and I just get to do it at this level now and get to do it with guys like Joe Gibbs and Rick Hendrick and Jack Roush and Richard Childress. So it's a pretty cool feeling.
It's like having a newborn baby, and Tony Stewart is the papa right now.
I'll tell you what, guys, this guy, what a failure. He's two-time champion and everything else, and it's going to fail. It's going to fail. You know what? He's 7th in the points. Ryan Newman, another top 10 finish. He said about Darian Grubb and all his crew. You got to give this guy a tremendous amount of credit. What he has taken on here to come out of here with another solid run, top 10 in points, Kenny. I'm excited about the future of Tony and the team.
And you know what Tony Stewart does? He kind of takes the team under his hands like a proud papa, because in the interview he says he knew right where Ryan Newman finished, which, at Daytona, Ryan had such bad luck and, things weren't as good as they wanted him to be at California, Vegas. But here Ryan, has definitely had to vault up in the points with 2 top finishes in a row. So, Tony Stewart saying, look, I'm proud of my team, like his sprint and midget teams and things like that. I think he really wants to see it build, like a proud papa or something like that. And Tony says, I don't know why I'm so calm, but I think it's pretty cool.
Well, that's probably because he's maturing as an owner, but also being very successful as that team owner. They had great finishes today for both those teams. And for Tony himself, that is his best finish with that team this season. The All-Star race is always exciting at Lowe's Motor Speedway. You can see it live on Speed again this year. And let's now flash back to the All-Star race in 1994.
In the first segment, I got spun out in the tri-oval and slid through the grass. Didn't hit anything great, thank goodness, but it broke part of her air dam in front. So the rest of that segment, the car didn't handle very well.
Trouble down the straightaway. Down the front straightaway. Jeff Bodine came down the whole front straightaway backwards.
Whoa! We started up front because we didn't finish good in the first segment, and showed, well, the car had potential. And Ernie Irvin was trying to make a pass in the grass, and Ernie miscalculated a bit and spun around.
Look at him make that move across the grass, through the grass. He's won.
Well, these Hoosier tires, it took a couple laps to get them going. So on the start, I got passed by Sir Marlin and Kenny Schrader. Came back and passed both of them on the outside. That was an incredible feeling to win that first race in my own car, and very blessed that it happened that night.
Celebrating 25 years of All-Star memories. Don't miss the NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race on Speed May 16th. NASCAR on Speed. Be there.
And here's one of many cool things about that All-Star race. The 10-lap shootout is back.
And you said that this morning, Johnny, I get excited about this race. There won't be no starting Parkers there. 18. Watch the 18 this year in the All-Star race. We know what he did. He was going to win it last year. The motor blowed up. I'll tell you what, fans. Get your tickets. Get ready. The Winston.
Hey,
it's the next Sprint All-Star race. It's awesome. Believe me, it's awesome.
It is absolutely awesome. You can see it live here on Speed. And it's a Kyle Busch kind of race, and all that shootout under the lights on Saturday night. He's definitely one of the stars to watch. We'll be back here to what's becoming somewhat of a chilly Martinsville in just a moment. Stay with us, everybody. The move of the race has been brought to you by Kingsford Charcoal. Slow down and grill.
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge, Recreate, Hibernate. Brought to you in part by Honda Generators. Honda, the power of choice. And by Suzuki Automotive. Live large, drive small.
On Mondays this week in NASCAR shows, Steve Burns, Michael Waltrip, and Chad Knaus will break down all the action from Martinsville, which includes the popular radioactive scanner feature. Here are the most important and dramatic radio conversations from Sunday's race. This week in NASCAR, Mondays at 8 Eastern, only on Speed. Well, back here at Martinsville, this is arguably Jeff Gordon's best racetrack. You know what's kind of cool about this?
What?
You see, we're standing right in the middle of the donuts that Jimmy Johnson just did. That's kind of
Yes.
cool. But also what's kind of cool for Hendrick Motorsports is all 4 of their teams finished in the top 10, and Jeff Gordon had yet another great Martinsville performance. Let's go back to Bob Dillner.
Jeff Gordon always good at Martinsville, and that was the truth again here today. You led a 147 laps, but what happened to the car there at the end of the race?
You know, it was really early on. I knew that we were too tight, weren't rolling the middle. Denny seemed to be the best car. It looked like Jimmy had to work on his a little bit, so you got to give them a lot of credit. He's really good. That team's really good, and so was Denny and his team today. And we were the 3rd best. You know, I think Friday really threw us off. We were really loose in Friday practice, and this is a new right side tire that Goodyear brought. And we were afraid we were going to get real loose, and we tightened the car, and we were so good in practice that we were afraid to get off of it. Now looking back on it, that hurt us. We just fought tight condition all day and never could really get a hold of the middle and get it to cut. So another great top 5 for this DuPont Chevrolet. So very happy about that.
It's always easy to play Monday morning quarterback, especially if you're a 4-time champion. But happy, disappointed being that you're up front, but got a 4th place finish. What?
Well, I'm really happy about Hendrick Motorsports getting a win here on the 25th anniversary from their first win. I know how happy that makes Rick, and Jimmy's just been the man here. I mean, it's funny how this place, once you get a hold of it and you get some things figured out, you can just go on a run, and they're on an incredible run right now. As far as us, no, I'm not real happy today. I think this is one of our best tracks. It seems like right now we're better on the 1.5 miles than we are on the short track. So, I think Friday threw us off. I'd like to have, I'm looking forward to coming back here and seeing what we can do with them.
So close, guys, but still no wins in the last 47 races.
70-something wins, 4 championships, one of the greatest drivers to ever see NASCAR, and he still got that fire. Oh, man, 4th spot. He felt like, the role he was on, that he was going to come here and contend for the win. Leads 140-something laps. Look, I could only wish I could be as good as him. This guy is incredible. But one thing I like about him, Jimmy Spencer, is he conceded that, look, Friday, we missed it. We adjusted the car wrong, so now they know what they did. They know.
But you know what, Kenny, though, when you look at this, last year at this time, what was wrong with him? This year, he's leading the points. He's contending for wins. Big difference. That's good for the sport. And to the rest of the competition, he's off, and he still finishes in the top 5. Look out.
So watch out, and watch out for Hendrick Motorsports as well, especially when you're racing here at Martinsville. Let's take a look at some of the incredible numbers. And remember, this is where it all started 25 years ago with Jeff Bodine winning a race here. And, the numbers here for Hendrick Motorsports are absolutely incredible. And you know what? Just between Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson, they now have 10 of the last 13 victories here.
And the pride that these guys have right now. Those crew members are so excited to tear the motor down.
And I want you fans to look at this. Everybody else is standing around in their uniforms, but Jimmy Johnson's crew has got dungarees on, these pullover things, and look at that, how they're preparing that car. That's really interesting because they know that right now it's just business appeasing NASCAR.
I think that's the first time ever on NASCAR Victory Lane that someone said the word dungarees.
What is it?
Well, coveralls, right?
I know that.
Coveralls. Hey, we're just giving you a hard. It's just kind of pick on Jimmy Day.
Look at the NASCAR official to the left. He just left the screen. That was the complete ignition system. That's how much they tear these cars down. Checking for traction control. You know what I mean?
Hey, this owner points thing is heating up right now, and it's very important as we head to the next race because the guys who are in the top 35 are guaranteed a spot in the upcoming race at Texas. And right now, it is very big for Paul Menard to be up into the top 35 and huge for David Gilliland to fall out after the effort that team has put forth so far this year.
You know, Jimmy Spencer, they're saying that Eric Amarillo has only enough sponsor to go to Texas. So it's going to be interesting to see what the number 8, 37th in the points, what he does after Texas.
And give credit here to Tommy Baldwin. You know, he's got a new guy involved with him, and Gary Bechtel. It's good to see him back. 123 points back, Johnny. They're not out of this thing by any means.
Remember this time last year we were talking about A.J. Allmendinger and how he was outside of the top 35 in points. It is a whole different team and a whole different story this year for A.J. as he's battling for top 10s instead of battling just to make a race.
You know, we ran top 15, top 10 all day, and just couldn't quite get the track position we were looking for. But, you know, last stop, Sammy made a good call. I was unsure of it. He wanted to do 2 tires because we'd already did 2 tires the run before that. But good call, kind of got us in track position. We were just a little bit too tight center off. But, you know, pit crew did a good job. We got to keep working on that. But for the first time together, they did a good job. And, you know, overall to be top 10 after, through Martinsville, pleased.
Yeah, definitely sweet, especially when you're a team that's looking for sponsorship to expand to a full season of schedule for this team. And it looks like if anybody could get it done right now, despite what the economy is or what's going on, A.J. Allmendinger and company certainly should be able to go to a sponsor right now and say, look, man, we're for real.
Well, and what I'm impressed with is Richard Petty standing right there behind his driver.
Me too.
You know, I was impressed with that, Kenny, but, you know, they've got 2 drivers. It's obvious Casey Kane with the wins last year and, you know, the sponsorship of Budweiser. Right now, the second driver, the B driver, Allmendinger, quickly has established himself, as he said, a top 10. You said it, Johnny. This guy wasn't making races outside the top 35. Now, week in and week out, Kenny, this team is building itself to be a winning team.
And you know what amazes me? I can't help to think about some teams that change and sometimes it doesn't work out. I still look back at the Red Bull team. They got rid of A.J. Allmendinger for somebody that has never been tested, but Scott Speed did show up real good in the truck, so he's going to need some time.
Hey, so now we're going to pack up our short track setup and head off to the big track in the big state of Texas. Speed's coverage kicks off on Friday afternoon. Want to thank everybody from Hendrick Motorsports for coming by and talking to us after this milestone victory, 25 years after they got their first victory on this very racetrack. Congratulations to them, and thanks to everybody here on Team Speed for bringing you Victory Lane. Let's look in the rearview mirror. This time yesterday, we were knee-deep in mud. Now we have sunshine.
Not a lot of practice here at Martinsville. And what's going to happen?
In the last 6 years, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon have won 9 out of the last 12 races. Who can outrun them?
There's people that will come out in the rain to watch us.
Y'all love us, don't you?
Yeah.
Pouring down rain.
Pouring down rain, and we got a crowd.
These are the famed Martinsville hot dog. Yeah, make sure you get plenty of that slaw. Rub it in your teeth a little bit.
Now, will I ever be on camera?
I don't like to stand out in the rain.
Yeah, but don't you have any pool?
That's the done.
You know what they say? When the wife's happy, everybody's happy.
If we were going to fire anybody off this show, who would it be?
Spencer.
Oh,
short and sweet.
The wind is so bad. I feel like one of those weather reporters. I need to lean towards the camera like this.
Gentlemen, here we go. My favorite racetrack, and boy, this is going to be fun.
all right, green flags out. Boogity, boogity, boogity.
Scott Speed was having a great race. The hardest thing to do here is get in under somebody like that.
I'm going to let him know it, because if he touches me again, I'm going to knock his head off.
Don't you just love this place? See, now those 2 cars, for all practical purposes, are wrecked.
Yes, they are.
Jimmy Johnson wins at Martinsville on the 25th anniversary of Hendrick Motorsports' first win